Hey everybody, this is Dr. Flight. Hope you're doing fantastic. We're going to spend a little bit of time on this video talking about the fifth core aspect of marketing, creating value through product place, promotion, price, decisions. Okay, so in other videos, we've looked at these other four core aspects. Okay, so bear in mind as you study, remember what these core aspects of marketing are, and the various details associated with each one of them. Okay, so recall then, as we've kind of looked at these other topics already, that marketing, the role of marketing and what marketing does, it helps create, communicate, and deliver value. Okay, so that's one of the roles, the key role that we think of when we think of what marketers and marketing does. And so this whole idea, though, of value can be really difficult to define. And so we want to spend a little bit of time talking about this definition, and then we'll talk about some of the functional roles of marketing that's itself, the marketing mix and the four P's. So, but value though includes the benefits that the customer receives from buying a good and service. Okay, so we want to keep a customer's perspective, but we also want to understand that value can be derived in lots of different ways. So if it helps the customer, if it helps the customer satisfy an unmet need, then it has value to the customer. And so that's what we're going to focus on a little bit here. So if I'm going to define value from a customer's perspective, then I want you to think about this as a balance between what the customer receives and what the customer gets. We have a little scale on the side here. The benefits in this case are heavier, or they weigh more than the costs the customer has to give up. So the customer should be happy, right? They should be getting more, receiving more than they're giving up perceptually. And so that's this idea of value. It's a ratio of the cost to the benefits that the customer receives. Now, we have labeled here costs as price, and that's oftentimes what we look at. Like, how much does this cost? What is the price of this? And so I have to pay what in order to receive these benefits. Costs may also include time and effort and energy, and there are social costs as well. So costs aren't just price, but that's the main thing that most people think of. Okay, but think about value as it's defined by the customer as what I get for what I have to give up. Okay, and that balance or that ratio there. There's another term, though, we also use. It's something called the value proposition. The value proposition is the whole bundle of benefits the firm promises to deliver. It's not just the product or the service that the customer is going to receive, but getting the product at the right time, for instance, or having it in the right location. Having it set at the right price is a big deal. Being able to communicate to the customer and other aspects like that. So the value proposition is everything that the customer gets from the possession or ownership or the use of that product, not simply the product itself. Okay, and so one of the things you'll find is that, like, some customers, customers buy a car. Some customers buy a car because it looks cool and it's going to impress their friends. They're not just buying a car, they're buying some other element that provides value to them, right? And that's a good example. Here's another example. Here's a brand. It's a luxury or semi-luxury brand called Hermes. And Hermes, like, their handbags are very, very expensive because it's a luxury brand. Now, not everybody can afford a luxury brand handbag. They can't spend necessarily thousands of dollars to have a handbag. They might really want one, but they really can't afford one. And so here's an alternative, though. What if they could buy a Hermes product at a different price point and still kind of be part of that Hermes community, that brand community, be a part of and have that product to some extent. So here's a lipstick option for those who dream of owning a Hermes bag. Okay, so again, this is a product that you could buy and give you the feeling of a Hermes customer, while right now maybe you can't afford what Hermes is known for. You could have a different type of product. So value is a relationship of what you get for what you have to give up. The Hermes lipstick costs several times the amount of a regular lipstick purchased at a discount or a drugstore. But customers derive value based on Hermes exclusivity and the reputation and the fact that they are a luxury brand. So even though you might not be buying a $2,000 bag or clutch or article or accessory of clothing or whatnot, right? Maybe you could spend $20 or $30, $40 on lipstick. While it's luxury, it gives you an opportunity to get into that brand. And for the person who buys that, this is like a value that they're gaining. And some people are like, nah, I'd never spend that much money. It's not a good value for them. But others are like, yeah, I really like this brand. I want to be a part of this brand. I can't normally afford this brand, but here's a way that I can, and I can, kind of get that psychological need satisfied by using this product. Okay, so kind of the value concept then is subjective, and it can be psychological or physical in terms of what you receive. But it's this idea that you're going to get something based on what you have to give up, and that's a balancing act. Okay, so now from the seller's perspective, value has a couple different meanings as well. And this is important because this is something we study a lot, and especially from a competitive perspective. So first, we have a concept called customer lifetime value. CLV, customer lifetime value. And this is this is like something we calculate. It's a calculation. And if you can think of like the future value of an investment, that's what CLV is. That's what customer lifetime value is. It's this idea that when we have a customer, they're going to give us money over time for products. And what we can do is we can discount that, the future value of that money can be discounted, and we can say, well, look, that customer is actually worth X amount to me if they stay with me over X number of years. So it's a calculation. It's a projected profit from a particular customer, and it links our customer sales and really our retention rates and our customer relationship to profitability. If we have good relationships with our customers, profitability goes up, and it's reflected through customer lifetime value. So when we say value from a seller's standpoint, it might mean something different. Another thing that we think of is when we create value, we want to create value that's distinctive to us as a seller. So in other words, when I create something that is unique and that is distinctive and that is something that I do and my competitors don't do, then that's something called a distinctive competency. And we leverage that into value as we describe value to the customer, right? So we want to turn our distinctive competencies into product benefits, which are benefits that we provide that our competitors can't copy. And that helps us define what we call a unique sales proposition. So in other words, I create value that's unique to me, and I tell the customer, hey, look, you should buy my product because you get this benefit that only I provide. Okay, so value from a seller or a marketer's perspective, we define it a little bit differently. We think about it a little bit differently. And it's important to know both perspectives. So think about value from what the customer gets, but then again, also think about value and the interplay that marketers' role is in creating that value. Okay, so those are kind of that's the groundwork. That's the way we kind of think initially of value from the customer and firm's position. Now let's turn our thoughts on the functional role of marketing and how value is delivered and created from a marketer's perspective. So I want to introduce this concept to you. It's called the marketing mix. This is vitally important that you know this concept. This concept will be fundamental for the rest of the course. It's fundamental for anybody who does anything in marketing. The marketing mix has been around for probably 50 or 60 years, and it's been defined this way as a set of activities that the marketer does that's associated with the four P's. The promotion or communication of the product, the product and the development and creation of a product or service, like creating value, delivering value, which would be associated with place or distribution, and then finally capturing value in price setting. So the four P's are promotion, product, place, and price. And they're not necessarily in that order. They can be in any order, but those are the four P's. You need to know those. They're vital. And each one of them creates value in a different way. Communication value is something that we do. It lets people make decisions better. It helps people's decision-making process. Creating value is the product development process where we create a product or a service. Capturing value is one where we try to associate, remember that ratio of cost to benefits? Well, price, again, plays a key role there. And when people evaluate the value proposition, they evaluate value, price is how we capture what those benefits are worth to a customer. Okay, and then delivering value, getting the value, getting the product or service in the place where the customer needs it is a value in and of itself. Okay, so creating value, just kind of walking through each of these four elements here. Fundamental purpose of marketing is, again, to create value. We develop our products, our services, ideas as well. So goods and services are two things that we talk about a lot. We also talk about, or could talk about, ideas as something that we create. So when we say product, we generically mean creating value. When I create a product, I create value. That product might be a service, it might be an idea, it also might be a physical good. Oftentimes, as a consumer, we actually buy products that have blends of all of these. So you might buy a physical product, but that physical product might also have a service attached to it. And there may be some embedded meaning to it as well. When we get to ideas are a little bit different, and we don't spend a lot of time on the development of ideas, but think about politicians. Politicians' role is to create ideas and sell them to us. And when we buy one of their ideas, we do so by voting for them. Think about it that way when we talk about ideas. Here's another illustration of it can be used for a nonprofit. Nonprofits do a lot of idea marketing where we create an idea and we want people to adopt an idea. Think about the American Cancer Society, who does advertising that is against smoking. Stop smoking and reduce cancer. That's kind of like an idea, or it's a practice. When we talk about reducing our carbon footprint, that's an idea that we want people to adopt if that's what you support, right? Here's an idea of one where we want people to drive safely. We want people to be careful because, if you get in an accident, it could be hurting somebody, right? Bicycle safety in this case is an idea that we can promote. So when we create value, we're creating a concept. It could be physical, it could be a service that we provide somebody else, or it could be strictly intangible and an idea that we have. All right. Other P's, price. So the value of price is when it's the capturing of value is actually what we term it as. Price or cost is everything that the buyer has to give up. So the price you pay for obtaining a product might include the time you spend investigating the product and the time you spend going to the store to buy it. And it could include a lot of the energy and efforts that you use. There's also something called opportunity cost. So when you buy one product, you can't buy another. It precludes buying other things sometimes. If that's the case, it's called an opportunity cost, right? So lots of different things go into assigning price. When we're a company, what we want to do is we want to make sure that that cost is in line with the benefits the customer is going to receive. So if the customer is going to receive more benefits, we can charge more costs, more price, a higher price. They can pay more cost. If the benefits they're going to receive aren't as good as maybe our competitors, then our price needs to reflect that. That needs to be less than our competitors because it needs to, because the benefits that the customer receives will be less, right? So price is a reflection of value. It's a reflection of the benefits. But there are several different, or there are four different characteristics or features here that will impact a pricing strategy. First and foremost, we focus on the cost we incur to create value. And the price has to be such that it covers the cost that we incur to create the value that we have. Second, usually the organization who's creating value has a profit objective, and we want to have our price set such that we cover our costs, but then also make a profit. And so whatever that profit objective is, we need to make sure that we're satisfying that. Number three, we need to take into account of our price how much demand there is for our product. So if there's a lot of demand for our product, that's justification to raise our price. If there's little demand for our product, then we'll be more inclined to have a lower price in order to capture as many sales as we can. And then finally, we focus on competitive pressures when we price set. So these competitive pressures deal with like how many competitors there are, how unique our product is compared to theirs, and understanding that when we make a price change, for instance, there's going to be some type of competitive reaction. They're going to react in a certain way to that. Okay, so we talked about creating value in product development. We talk about capturing value or reflecting value through price, right? That's the second thing that we do, or another thing that we do. Third is something called promotion. And when we promote, that's a generic term. We'll use it a lot. It means that we communicate the value that we have developed. So this could be oftentimes through advertising, it could be through signage, it could be through person-to-person communicating, like a salesperson on the floor of a department store. They could communicate like the value, the benefits of a certain product. Communication persuades, it informs, and it reminds. So those are three big things that we'll talk about when we talk about the way customers make decisions and kind of how we communicate. So people might not be aware of the fact that they have a need. They certainly may not be aware of the different solutions that are out there that could satisfy their need. So communication helps build awareness, and it helps inform and educate. It also, though, helps communicate our unique sales proposition. So remember, we want to persuade people to buy our product. That means telling them why our product is better than our competitors. And so we need to be able to do that through communication. Another thing we do is if people don't buy a product often, they may forget that a product exists that could satisfy a need that they have. So we need to remind them that there are products out there that can satisfy their needs. So the communication aspect actually helps the customer make decisions in a more efficient way. It adds value that way. And think about, let me just throw this out you, think about the value the internet provides society in the amount of information that is accessed through it. Right now, again, can't trust everything you see on the internet, but the internet provides an enormous amount of information, which is a great value to people who use the internet and, to a large extent, customers when they're trying to find out information about a particular product. So that's all promotion. That's all communication. That's that element there. Hey, last one we'll talk about then is the place or delivering the value proposition. Here we have an example of a drive-through kiosk. This could be either a bank. In this case, it's a self-serve checkout for renting a car, and having car available where the customer needs it, and having that process work in the flow of the customer's behavior is crucial. Now, think about if you needed to go grocery shopping and you didn't have a grocery store anywhere near you. What would you do? You'd have to go and travel to that closest store, maybe miles and miles away. If somebody puts a store close to you, then that creates an enormous amount of value to you because the products you need are closer to you. Right, so having the product delivered to you in a efficient way and an effective way is a fantastic type of thing. So just kind of think about where products are in proximity to you. This big, broader topic is something that we call supply chain management a lot of times. We might also call it channels management or logistics. There are several terms that are thrown in there, but managing the idea of getting the product to the customer where they want it and at the time that they want to use it is a huge value component. Okay, so as we wrap this up, remember these progress checks are opportunities for you to study and to review what you should know for tests, and also just in common, kind of out of the textbook and just things about marketing. So define the central concepts of value-based marketing. So understand value, the value proposition, customer lifetime value, right? Those all go into this idea of what value is to the customer and to the firm, and then translating from the firm in order to create value, have this concept of having a distinctive capability or competency, and then leveraging that or making that into a competitive advantage, which then is what we call our unique selling or sales element there. So proposition, USP, unique sales proposition. So I want you to buy my product, but you're only going to buy it if I can tell you why my product's different and better than my competitors. So that's what I need to ultimately do when I'm defining value for you, the customer. And it is actually what we end up pricing our product, or what we base our price on our product. Okay. The other thing that we need to know is each of the 4 Ps, know the marketing mix. So the marketing mix is composed of 4 functional elements. Right, so we have the product, the place, the price, and the promotion of the product. Okay, that's it. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'm glad you watched and listened today, and thank you.